Chapter 1. Why you go into business? Well, there's lots of reasons why people go into business, but it's really, really important that these foundation stones of your future self are based on honesty and truth within. Because a lot of people I know have set up businesses theoretically just to make money. I mean, this is the reason that they've said it. They haven't gone deep, and who'd have believed it? They rarely last. Not always, but I would say the vast majority of companies that are set up simply to make money really don't have any legs to them because they're shallow. You know, they haven't got strong foundations, strong roots that tether people to the battering that you get in a business. So what I'd say is first things first, write down on a piece of paper why you're going to set a business up. You, for your self-worth, and what is it that you're going to actually achieve out of this if it goes well? Why are you doing it? You know, self-discipline is a hugely important thing in any entrepreneurial journey, be it a for-profit or not-for-profit. There are always huge amounts of things that you will be putting yourself through which you're not comfortable with, which are not easy, which will keep you awake at night in anticipation of them. So this is not a light move that you're taking. This is a pretty all-encompassing move, and we've got finite amount of life on this planet. So you've really got to want to do something that is meaningful to you. So sit down with a bit of paper and put why you want to do it, and then sit down on the same bit of paper and put what you're going to sacrifice to do that. What are the boundaries that you're going to do of that? And then you've got effectively an equation. So the reasons, the positives are what you want to achieve with it for yourself. And then the negatives are what are you willing to sacrifice to get that? And if it makes sense for you, that's the first stage. The second stage is for your family. What is it going to mean to them? And what does it mean that in terms of the impact that you're going to have negatively on you doing that? Now, if that's, you haven't either got a family yet, or you've got somebody that a partner who is quite committed to a job and all this kind of stuff, there may not be much in the way of downside. And that's why quite a lot of people these days are doing it young, when they've got a limited amount of commitment. And then once you've done that, and you've kind of, it makes sense to you to explore further, then look at it from a people who are going to buy off you point of view, staff point of view, suppliers point of view. What is it that you are going to deliver to them to make it a resilient business? What is your value proposition to them? Now, you might be really good at something, and that's fabulous. And it might be a short-term thing. You don't have to, businesses do not have to last forever. But I do like the analogy of a tree. Trees, and this is why I kind of allude to a natural form of capitalism. They have a life cycle. They don't carry on forever, but they have good, strong roots. Anything that lasts has got good, strong roots. And if you want to last, for a period of time, not just be opportunistic, which is nothing wrong with that. If you just want to give it a go for a period of time, there is an opportunity, you see, why wouldn't you? You do the same equation, you work it through. But if you want to build something, you've got to have something that transcends you and your family. And this is where I fall out with many of my entrepreneurial friends who said they did put a shift in early on in their life cycle of their business and put quite a lot on the line. I get that, but that doesn't last forever. And when you've had a full return back from it, then you can't just carry on milking this and not giving back to the staff that are now doing the heavy lifting for you. So what I did, I was 28 8 when I first planned for Webmart. I actually started Webmart when I was 30, and worked out what it would mean. So for me, what would I get out of it? Well, for me, it was sense of destiny, if you like. I'd always wanted to run my own business. I don't know why. It just felt right. It just felt like I've got to give it a go. To be brutally honest, I really didn't care if it failed. I'd have got it out of my system. I'd get another job, and I would have said, right, that's that ticked off my bucket list. I've given it a go. But I did have a passion for people, and I really liked the opportunity to give people a good career path, a good opportunity in life, particularly people who are disadvantaged. So I wanted to create a business that cared for people. Yes, of course, my number one selfish thing would be to pay off my mortgage early. That's the millstone around your neck, and the earlier you pay off, the better it is. And so I really wanted to do that to give stability, because life is cheap if you're not paying a mortgage. So that was one of the things I wanted to do. But also, I'd been working at really badly run companies, and they didn't value people. And so I wanted to invert the business model to say, well, if I really wrapped my business around developing people and giving them an opportunity of a lifetime, could I create something that was sustainable? But the one condition I had, a limit that I'd given myself, was no external borrowings, none at all. Because I'd always worked for heavily indebted companies, and all of the decisions were decided around being cash positive to service the debt. And the most ludicrous stuff was sent through to down the line to me, who at the time was a sales director, to implement, which had no sense. There's no logic in it, but it was cash positive, so we had to do these things. So I just said, right, I'll not have any external influence, no external shareholders. Just let's do this. And if you're doing it to develop people and to give people an opportunity, as well as to give stability and work out what was an okay way forward. The other thing I wanted to do was to spend time with my young kids, because the year before I'd spent 65,000 miles in my car, which was more time in my car than at home, whether I was awake or asleep. And I had young children, and I wanted to always be there for their assemblies and all of that kind of stuff, which I was ultimately able to do. But it's so that you look after yourself, you look after your family, and then you've got to look after the wider mission. Look outside of that. Say, okay, so what is it that you're going to deliver that's exceptional to the market? Is it faster? Is it more responsive, more personal? Is it new? Once you've arranged those, then you've got the bare bones of, the balance sheet that you're going to, the positives and the negatives. And if you can elucidate it when it's not about you, because it's not about you, if you want to build a business, it's about what you can deliver to other people. And if you have a real clear vision on that and you're enthusiastic about it, then people will really buy into that and help you along your way. As I say, the people I've found who have gone like that and like that are the people who just go after the money. And there's always a hidden meaning. Usually it's something to do with trying to impress peers or impress parents, or making up for an otherwise, character flaw in, say I can prove I can do it to all the kind of naysayers and stuff. And I totally understand that. And that's been a great force for many people starting their own business to show people what they can do. The challenge that you've got is when you get to that certain level, if it's all about you, why would people want to spend all of their time, their life, their finite life, supporting you when you've got enough already? And that's where quite often greed gets in the way of a larger opportunity and a larger entity, by really doing things that are counter to the culture. So the culture that you're trying to engender has to be not about you if you want to build it. And if you look at, there's some massively successful in their financial point of view businesses out there that have got no ethics and no scruples. But I dare say, as a leader, they're not massively happy. I remember speaking to Gerald Ratner, who, for those of you who don't know, he's got a fantastic speech, and he said, he lost £1 billion of personal wealth when £1 billion was a lot of money. And this is back in 1987, I think it was. Look at his story; it's fabulous. But he said he was that busy at the time. He didn't even know what season it was, let alone what day it was or where he was or whatever. He's got so many, the world's biggest jewelry company at the time. And a lot of people get swept up in this, in the, I don't know, the hubris of having, people doing everything for them and, being able to afford anything that they want, but they lose tether with their community and where they came from and what they're about, what they stand for. And they replace it with acquiring more money. And that is a destructive force. And that takes a lot of people by surprise when they get a lot of money. And all of a sudden, that starts ruling them. And as a consequence of that, they start losing what they're about. So really, sitting down, takeaways from this chapter are really be honest with yourself. So honest that if you shared it with a friend, that they'll say, yeah, that's true. And you shared it with somebody who doesn't know you, that could challenge you. You'd say, okay, I can get that. So at a personal level, at a family level, and then at a wider level. And if it ties in with you, the positives that you get from running it and the positives you can give others by you running it against the cost, because there is always a cost, maybe relatively small, but there is a cost to you going through this journey. And if that's agreed in advance in your head or with the people, your nearest and dearest, that this is what's going through, you're in a fantastic foundation. You're building proper solid base to start your business from. And then it's into the really quite interesting times of starting up a business. And this is where all of a sudden it's getting people to align in with this vision. So you need to, before you start your business, align up people to chat to, people you can trust. And trust is the most powerful force, because if you're saying one version of the truth with all the way through yourself, with your family, with the other people that were going to work with you, clients, suppliers, co-workers who you employ, or freelancers that you work alongside. If there's one version of the truth, then that's a really powerful force to get going forward, going to market, and you trust them. You may be talking confidential information, and that can kill you from day one if that gets out into the marketplace, because typically you could be under all sorts of contractual obligations and stuff. So you've got to trust the people you trust, and obviously not breach those conditions, but be honest enough to have that conversation with them, to get it lined up so that when you start, you're not sitting there with a dead start. You've got people who, if not legally, morally, have given you a commitment to get started. And this is where we work our way from the formal economy, and I don't mean this in terms of paying tax or not, I mean the formal contractual stuff, to trust. And trust is a really powerful force. If you live up to that trust at the very early stages of that, and be honest with people, and it doesn't work out as you planned, because it never will. It always changes. I can't remember, I think it was John McCarthy said it, that a battle plan is in place and working until the first shot is fired. And then as soon as you've you've pulled the starting gun and you're underway, it will change. But at least if you've got that down in writing, what you're going to do and what you're trying to achieve, that's a tether. That tethers you to your objective. So in the maelstrom that you're unleashing upon yourself, you've got that as a thing that you can refer back to and say, actually, I've got, I knew it would be this. This was in the debit column. and I can see through it, and I'll deal with it. And if you're veering off onto some path which you didn't sign up to or get agreement that you would be doing in the first place, then you just have a good look at yourself and say, well, actually, this isn't something that I should be doing, and it helps to realign you back to your original mission. So, synopsis: be clear of why you're going into it. Be clear of the pluses and the minuses. Probably have a mentor or two, people that you trust, that you know you can have a chat to, honestly, who've been through this beforehand. Weigh up the positives and the negatives on a piece of paper for yourself, for your family, for people who will work alongside you, and just be really straightforward in it. It doesn't take a degree in business planning or too many books to do that. But you know whether you've got a commercial proposition that works. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. If you haven't got that to start with, then the chances are that you're not even going to go there anyway. So, assuming you've got a commercially viable product at a commercially viable price, then this will allow you to keep on. And this is why, if you go into business doing the right things for the right reasons, for the greater good, there is a fantastic opportunity for you to succeed in this day and age, because we've got a very porous thing called a business. A business is a bag of people aligned to deliver something. And some of them will be employed, some of them won't be. Some of them will be clients, some of them will be suppliers, but they're all contributing to your business. And so the more honest you can be with everybody, and the single message, single story that you've got on it, the more powerful that is. So have a good think about that before you start. Anyway, I'll be on to chapter 2 tomorrow. Take care. And I didn't swear, I don't think. Staggering.